But we begin with the starting lineup presented by Citi with the decision from Major League Baseball to lift the two-game suspension of Chase Utley for that postseason slide into Ruben Tejada. Eamon, I don't want to overstate this. It's an utter disgrace. It really is. And I know that we would just sit there and say, well, it's only 2 games, but that's not the point. Major League Baseball went out of their way just a few weeks ago to tell us about changing the rule to protect the players, to really make sure that players' safety is at the forefront, and yet you lift this suspension primarily because you couldn't really tell, based on other cases, other guys got away with it, what's dirty and what's not. Well, if other guys got away with shoplifting, does that mean you don't arrest this guy when you see him? Eamon, I'm sorry, this is out of line. He absolutely should have been suspended, I think, for longer than 2 games.
I mean, to me, this is Major League Baseball just admitting, look, we caved to the masses in the postseason. New York was in an uproar, and we were afraid that if we didn't do anything, he would have been pelted with batteries. I really think that the whole reason why Joe Torre and his committee decided to hand him the suspension during the postseason was to try to quell the masses so that Game 3 was not a riot. And I know they appealed, and he was there anyway. But, Chris, I mean, when you really start talking about appeal and due process, what are you telling Chase Utley in the rule book he did wrong? The rule that you mentioned wasn't in the rule book on that night in the 2015 season. It's in the rule book now. It's like the horse collar. That wasn't a rule when Terrell Owens broke his leg. It's a 15-yard penalty now. So, look, I understand the Mets are upset. The Met fan is upset. But the bottom line is I think baseball caved in October, and now they're giving themselves, you know, a chance, a do-over, basically, because they don't have it. They can't stand up to an appeal because it's not against the rules what he did.
What's clear to me, though, is they knew it was a dirty play then. I mean, I think that doesn't – I think overall that's the biggest thing to take out of this. It was dirty. Clearly, he didn't even try to slide. He went right into Tejada's legs. Now, that being said, the next time they play in May out in L.A., it was likely that Chase Utley was going to get drilled anyway, but now you pretty much insured it if you're Major League Baseball. Because now that there's absolutely no justice coming his way, there's no question he's going to get one in the shoulder, in the back. I mean, Eric Goodell is playing golf with him in the offseason. Utley knows it's coming and is just saying, don't hit me in the head. I don't think you can take anything off the table if you're Chase Utley right now as far as what to expect. I don't think the Mets are going to throw at his head, but right now, I would have almost, if I was Utley, rather take the suspension than take getting drilled, because that might not even solve it at this point.
Well, it's not going to solve it. This thing's not going to go away because, you know, what happens when you throw at him? Do you give both teams warnings and completely change the game, or do the umps go, you know, cowboy Western justice and let Matt Harvey do his thing, and then we're, you know, now we're even? I mean, look, I'll go back to what I said when it happened, that if Chase Utley was still Chase Utley, if he was still one of the best second basemen in the National League or the whole game, the Dodgers never would have acquiesced to everyone, then they would have played him. I think they kept him out of those games in New York for his safety, and I think Major League Baseball caved because he wasn't a superstar. If he was still a superstar, he would have played a bigger role in the NLDS.
See, to me, and that almost makes it worse, the fact that he is a bit player at this juncture in his career, and still, you decide to lift the suspension there, made no sense to me whatsoever.
All right, we are now